and a very beautiful good morning from Cache Creek. This funky little diner that we came to last time, we're gonna go in and have some brekkie. Cool, totally cool. Happy? Coffee and breakfast? Like that, eat locals, that's gonna be the best. The memorabilia in here is so awesome. Not a corner left unturned. We have been so lucky with days like these on our trips. Waking up, feeling good, I sometimes think I get the best night's sleep in the fresh air in my hammock. And best of all, Jonathan always brings me a coffee to start the day. I really love that. It's hard to believe that it was well below freezing last night on a day like today as we head for Marble Canyon and towards home. This ride has some incredible geological history with spectacular views ahead. As we ride along, I'll give you a little info before we get there. On our right is the beginning of the towering cliffs of grey and white limestone and dolomite that create the marbled effect that gives Marble Canyon its name. These impressive structures rise up to almost a kilometer over us and above the canyon's 3 lakes. Chimney Rock is the highest peak in the park, and it is up ahead on our left. It is also known as Coyote Rock or Coyote's Pianist, and it is an important spiritual site. The park contains pictographs and archaeological sites that are evidence of the long use of this area in First Nation history. This limestone canyon is in the Pavilion mountain range and was once part of the Pacific Island chain of volcanic plateaus, with a 500 million year old history of limestone deposits about 4 kilometers thick that once was formed by single-celled creatures, their shells of calcium carbonate that accumulated over millions of years. It's theorized this shelf would have been situated to the west of the Caribou Mountains in shallow water next to a deep ocean trench. Fossils of early life date back 300 million years, and fossilized shells discovered date back 30 million. With Pavilion Lake itself, there are extremely slow-growing coral-like formations formed by the receding glaciers called microbialities. This is the area of Marble Canyon towards Lillooet and Pavilion Lakes with limestone formations. And in the Pavilion Lake, there is a really interesting geological formation. There's only 2 places in the world that actually have it, and that is here and in Australia, which date back, I believe, about 11,000 years. And it's the same microbiotic life forms that have been found in these 2 lakes and on Mars. So NASA is in a joint project with UBC on this whole exploration of these formations. The geological formations that can be found here are in as little as about 15 feet of water, right up to, I believe, the 65-meter mark, which is the depth of the lake. There's also a couple marker buoys out here. There's one right there in front of us where you can dive down to these formations. As we travel along the lakes, we saw quite a few boys set out for scuba diving, which we certainly would like to dust off our gear and explore underwater. These structures, produced by microbial communities, are up to 3 meters high and are believed to be similar microbes to some of the earliest life on Earth. The only other freshwater stromatolites that are as large are found in Australia, as I mentioned earlier, in Hamlin Pool, which is part of Shark Bay. It's quite incredible to think that these are a potential window into ancient ecosystems on Earth, and possibly even early Mars. Enjoy the beautiful views along this next segment that are absolutely breathtaking as the landscape drops away into the canyon below. This area is absolutely full of history, including that of our gold mining past. Traveling through the Lytton area, it was known as the Fork in 1858 during the gold rush, and the town was an important stopover as part of the main transportation route known as River Trail. By 1862, the main route became the famed Caribou Wagon Road, an incredible feat of road building passing through the Fraser Canyon. And in the 1880s, it was the Canadian Pacific Railway that pushed through, and then the Caribou Highway in the 1920s, and ultimately the Trans-Canada Highway in the 1950s as we know it today. Lytton has since declined with construction of the Coquihalla Highway in 1987. A similar story as with many towns in our history, as changing roadways and railway routes can make or break a town's economic future of trade and tourism. During our heat waves, Lytton is often the hottest spot in Canada, and in 3 consecutive days of June 2021, it broke the all-time record for Canada's highest temperature, ending at 49.6 degrees Celsius, or just over 121 degrees Fahrenheit on June 29th. This is the highest temperature ever recorded north of the 45th parallel, and higher than the all-time records for Europe and South America. The following day, a wildfire swept through the valley, destroying a majority of the town. 2 years later, there's been a lot of cleanup, but very little has been done to rebuild, which is beyond sad. I don't get the politics in that at all. This is an important community to the area and to its people. As we make our way to Yale, a boomtown during the Fraser Valley Gold Rush, and it was the largest town in its time north of San Francisco and west of Chicago. Steamships would come up the Fraser as far as Yale, and then miners and prospectors would travel further north by a horse and wagon. By 1882, the scuzzy stern-wheeler made several attempts before winching its way by steam power through Hell's Gate and making its way to Lytton against all bets. As Jonathan rides down to the riverbank, once filled with excitement of gold and a busy hub, today you will only find the rush of the Fraser River and the banks that have no trace of its wild past. Thank you for coming along. You can turn notifications on and subscribe to see new videos as we share our discoveries along the way. See you on the next adventure.